Inside a classroom, a young guy suddenly woke up with a weird look on his face, as if he had eaten something disgusting. In that moment, he realized he had gone back in time exactly 25 days before the college entrance exams in the Sia Kingdom at Anqing No. 1 High School. In Class 7 of Grade 3, shocked, he grabbed his messy hair and cursed his terrible luck. If he really had to be reborn, couldn't it at least be after he got into college? Why bring him back to high school right before exams? Seriously, who was messing with his fate and plot armor? Since ancient times, people on Blue Star have suffered from something called the Secret Realm invasion. These secret realms are connected to another world filled with dangerous monsters. Sometimes, these monsters break through cracks between the realms and attack the human world. Their strength varies, but some are strong enough to wipe out whole countries and put all of humanity at risk. Humans created the Beast Gene system. By injecting Beast genes, a person can awaken a monster template and gain special genetic abilities. Only warriors who awaken these powers can protect human civilization. Because of this, warriors became far more respected and valued than ordinary people. Blue Star entered an era where martial strength mattered more than anything else. As the system finished explaining the world's background, it confirmed that Ahai was now the new body host and began loading the original owner's memories into his mind. Ahai held his head, trying to accept the fact that he was suddenly a high schooler again. His classmates laughed at him, saying a loser like him still dreaming of taking the college entrance exam was a joke. One of the class beauties, Wang Tong Tong, even mocked him, asking why he hadn't dropped out yet to work as a common laborer for the rest of his useless life. Annoyed, Ahai simply looked back at her. Of course, every bullied protagonist story had someone like this. From the memories, it was clear the original owner didn't have a good reputation. His parents had an accident during his second year, causing him to lose focus on training and studying. His grades crashed, and he became a burden on the class average. Wang Tong Tong noticed him looking her way and got even angrier. She reminded him they were in a martial arts class. Was he trying to start a fight? Ahai was stunned. He was just thinking, not challenging anyone. What was wrong with these people? The guy who originally owned this body messed up, and now Ahai had to deal with the fallout. Who was responsible for changing his plot armor and giving him such a miserable setup? Just then, the class teacher told everyone to prepare. It was time for the genetic modification serum injection. He encouraged them to believe in themselves, because their 3 years of training and physical preparation had led to this moment. But then he glanced at Ahai with annoyance, clearly thinking of those who hadn't taken things seriously. Ahai just forced a smile. It wasn't his fault the original owner slacked off, so why should he panic? Now that he had this body, he planned to fix everything. A bit later, the scene shifted to the gene injection hall. All the students gathered for the injection ceremony, talking nonstop about the powers they hoped to awaken. Some dreamed of a Tier 3 mountain splitter, others of a Tier 4 sea bridge dragon, while some jokingly mentioned the ridiculous Tier 1 but beast. Then, a huge machine opened, releasing cold air. Inside were many test tubes, the gene awakening serums. Each contained the primal genes of magical beasts known to humans. After injection, a student would randomly absorb one and awaken its power. Usually, the stronger one's body, the better the awakened gene. Their grumpy teacher continued, giving instructions, telling them not to panic and to stay calm when the power surged through them. He began calling names, and one by one, the students stepped forward to receive their injections. After injecting themselves with the serum, apparently their teacher's advice was or hit because they suddenly started screaming in pain, or some he saw this knew exactly what he was in for, but immediately bit the bullet and injected himself with the serum, expecting to undergo a similar process like the rest, but nothing. With his eyes opened wide, he remained speechless as the class teacher approached him with a skeptical look on his face. You don't seem to have changed much," he questioned, clueless as to why he replied that he might have gotten a fake dose. Wang Tong Tong mocked and laughed at him as she approached, stating the obvious that he seemed to have not awakened anything at all. She poked his irritated face and, commenting that a warrior who hadn't awakened was like a bird without wings. So isn't he royally doomed? After all, this suits him just fine. Right now he doesn't have to be a warrior. As Wang Tong Tong continued her teasing session, yapping like a chatterbox, he found her to be extremely annoying. After all, She was also the one leading the bullying against the original owner of the body. Unexpectedly, this immense emotion suddenly burst out a strange feeling inside him. The system also detects this and informed him that he'd acquired an infinite monster template displaying his current growth status. It had his name as the host Grady as his overall physique and a list of his martial skills, which was the 9th student Basiki technique, the blocking palm, and the iron body technique. Wang Tong Tong saw the sudden action and questioned what the loser was doing. If he hadn't awakened, then he should stop pretending already. He even tried to warn her to stay away, but this blockhead never listens. And now it was too late anyway. He body shakes violently, his eyes glowing with an immense power. Then unexpectedly, this immense power burst forth in the form of a raging beast so enormous and powerful that Wang Tong Tong, who had been close to him, was trashed across the room like a freaking ragdoll. However, she was not the only one. Even though she suffered the full force of Ahi's awakened power, all the students around had a similar experience. This unexpected display of power immediately garnered the attention of the top awakeners, Miss Liu and Lai Shernwan. The system notified Ahi of awakening and a rank. Template: the Mad Flame Daimola. The Bloodline abilities are the Scorching Breath, the Molten Pulse, and the Spore Absorption. His advanced form is the Flame Lord, also Demel, but it will unlock when template compatibility reaches 100%. Currently, he was at 3%. As Ahi comes to terms with this information, he wondered if this power could be the golden finger the system had gave him. His impression on the students had suddenly undergone a complete 180 the moment they realized the loser of the class might have awakened something monstrous. His aura managed to blow almost everyone away, especially Wang Tong Tong, who had awakened a second-tier magic beast, the Flaming Lizard. Wang Tong Tong was knocked out cold, drooling all over like an infant. He apologized to everyone, stating that he'd made quite a scene awakening. Well, no, nonetheless. He did warn everyone to step back, but no one listened. Most of his classmates bow and acknowledge his monstrous potential. But just then, the PA system announced that all the awakened third-year students must now proceed to the testing building to examine what kind of magical beast gene they have awakened and to test their martial arts level. All the third-year students gathered to test their magical beast gene and martial level. As the holographic screen displayed every awakened information the moment they're examined. The current student on display was Li Xingyuan. He awakened a third-tier magical beast bloodline, the Swift Spine Bug. Some students commented on his lucky break. After all, he was just an average student in their class before awakening, but now he was probably the #1 student with a strong bloodline. Strong bloodlines are really unfair. Another student, Chuzhou, lived up to his title of being the top student of the grade. Not only was he a level 9 martial apprentice, but he even awakened the top-tier bloodline among Tier 3 bloodlines, the Ice Demon Dragon. It seems this time around the champion of Aining City will be him. Next was Miss Liu, who was also a level 9 martial apprentice and had awakened a stage 4 rare bloodline, the Nether Sparrow. A well-deserved ability for the top scorer of the province. If a stage 4 bloodline beast appeared in its true form, then it could destroy most of a city. Warriors would be as weak as ants before these beasts, and only Grand Masters can resist. In that moment, he noticed something peculiar. Everyone's awakened beast templates were all classified as Stage 3 or Stage 4. So why was his classified as a class? Just then it was his turn to be examined. But the moment he turned towards the test tube chamber, the crowd of students were staring at him with dreamy eyes, believing he was going to be someone important one day. The girls even wanted to have his children right then and there. He knew this world really revolved around martial power, but seeing it firsthand and directed at him, he walked into the test tube chamber with an aura of superiority and confidence. The crowd cheered him on like crazed fans with such an insane aura. After awakening, his level must be the highest with probably a huge breakthrough. Li Xingwen just watched with a serious expression. Finally noticing Ahi's name, he acknowledged him to be someone to look forward to. Unexpectedly, what happened after was absolutely mind-boggling because Ahi's data only showed basic information. A Stage 3 with an unknown beast bloodline. Seeing this, a brief silence ensues as everyone tried to make sense of what they were witnessing, their surprise and shock evident. But the moment apprehension sank in, The guys laughed at Ahei like the mad joker, while the girls cringe in disgust and embarrassment for ever entertaining the idea of being with such a person. Meanwhile, Ahei calmly walked out of the test tube chamber expecting this result. Inwardly, he knew his martial power and beast bloodline are unique and probably immeasurable. His system template also wasn't detected, but it triggered the prompt for the infinite monster template. His template rank might be different from the rest, but this also means as long as he meets the conditions, he can draw monster templates infinitely. With this, Ahei aims to become the king of monsters. So later that day, the awakening ceremony ended and classes was over. But inside the class teacher's office, the old guy wondered why he suddenly wants a break to study and come back for the college entrance exam. Did he honestly think he would believe that a student such as him will actually study at home? He tells him he really wants to improve. He knows he has fallen too far, so he has to go through special training now. If he follows everyone else's pace, then there's no hope for him. Just then, his class teacher tells him he knows this. If he wants to become a warrior, the only way is to go to college. Beijing University was something that was not easy to get into, so he should be preparing a lot. He knows he had awakened his bloodline, but his foundation was too weak, so there was no way he will pass the entrance exams with this strategy. But there was no rush. He should prepare to repeat the year and try again next year if he fails. However, he ignores this. He states that he was desperate to learn. He might not understand, especially since he awakened a powerful bloodline. As long as he can train hard, he will achieve everything he wants. And to tell the truth, he asks his class teacher to look into his eyes. His eyes would not lie to him. Seeing those eyes, the class teacher deems them to be full of sincerity. So, he reluctantly agreed. But if he fails, he will be coming back to study under him to repeat the year for next year. A while later, Ahei arrives at the Aining Warrior Center. Upon entering the center, Ahei, already aware that his parents' house was mortgaged for about 600,000 yen. And with the compensation for their accident over 1 million, he now has enough money to be heading to the main city. But to improve his power now, he has two options. One is to level up as a warrior, but the other way is to increase the contract rate with Tamura's model. And according to the data of the Infinite Monster template, each template starts with only 1 point of compatibility. But Tamura clearly has 3 compatibility points. What Ahei doesn't understand was where did the last 2 points come from? And for that there was only one answer. The Tamura model absorbed the power of the genetic awakening serum and gained 2 accounting points. This proves that the serum, basically related to the genes in this world, may be improving its model abilities. Instead of training to death as a warrior, he could be spending money to increase his compatibility. This strategy, if he's being honest, will be much better and suits him perfectly. Anyway, he needed to hurry up and buy some genetic enhancement serum. However, the moment Ahei passes by the identification card checkpoint and entered the building, he experienced the biggest shock of his life. His eyes widened in surprise. In front of him were warriors with various awakened bloodlines. The overwhelming presence of their genes clearly evident. But what was surprising was that everyone in there had already awakened their lineage. After awakening the mad flame Tamura, Ahei obtained a unique sensory ability, the magnetic field of life. Since Tamura may be sensing vital signs emitted by creatures through the release of his vital magnetic field, he may be clearly feeling the ki and blood of the warriors burning them, as if it were a furnace inside them. And, along with the roars of their beast bloodlines as warriors or monsters, he can no longer suppress the fighting desire within him. After all, the Mad Tamura is the king of beasts in their world, destined to conquer all life on the planet. But unfortunately, he was just a rookie at the moment, so he can only suppress Tamura's fighting bloodline for now. When he gets stronger, he will show the whole world the meaning of being the king of beasts. Suddenly, someone grabbed him by the shoulder from behind and called out to him. This person turns out to be a baddie who advised Ahei to not peek at people so casually like he intends to challenge them. He was a bit startled upon realizing this, so he apologized. She replied that it was fine. After all, it seems he probably just awakened his monster gene, so not being able to control his powers was normal. But what brings him to the Warriors Center? She questioned. He calmly replies that he was there to buy genetic medicine. But the place was huge, and he can't seem to find his way. Could you help me out? Sure, but why are you already using genetic medicine at this stage? He asked if there was something wrong with that. Not really. She smiled and continued. It's just that gene medicine isn't cheap and can easily cause resistance, making it less effective over time. If he wants to maximize the effect, warriors usually wait until their bloodline reaches the bottleneck before using it. He then asked how much one gene potion cost. At Ahai's current stage, he can only use the Solid-type beginner potion, and it costs around 400,000 yen. This price tag scared the young king of Beast shitless. It was way too expensive for a broke guy such as himself. Even if he used all his savings, he couldn't afford 5. But he still needed to buy it. So, he wanted to know if the lady knew anyone who could get him the potion at a discount. The lady, who happens to be a good person, ends up giving Ahai a business card. It was a recommendation from a veteran warrior, so he could get a really good discount if everything goes his way. He thanked her and took his leave. If fate allows it, they would likely meet again. After clearing out his account, he heads to a warrior's weapon shop. And after his insane spending, it was already nightfall when he got home. Inside his apartment, Ahai began his upgrade. He took those injections and was under immense pain. He could feel his bones shuddering and blood boiling as his compatibility increases from 3% to 4%, then to 7%. His overall stats also increased from 8 to 10, then from 10 to 15, which was the armed rank 7. When he was done, crouched on the floor completely exhausted. So this is what leveling up feels like, he stated breathlessly. However, with each shot of gene potion, Ahai's physique improved. By the final one, it only increased a little. It seems that as his body strengthens, further base mutations become harder and harder to trigger. Nonetheless, his current development was not bad at all. In just a few minutes, he gained what others worked 3 years for. And this was just using his base physical stats. If he activates the Daimola's bloodline power, then maybe he really does have a shot at being the top scorer in the exam. Next, it seems he has to depart to the Secret Realm. For context, the Secret Realm rifts are ranked from S-class to E-class. The higher the ranks, the stronger the beasts inside. Beasts in S-class realms are completely uncontrollable by humans. If they ever invade the real world, it would be an apocalyptic disaster. Anyhow, as the scene shifted to an E-level secret realm at a third-rate location in Aining, he realizes that there are much fewer people there than he expected. Maybe it was because the secret realm had been developed for too long. After all, it was an old secret realm, and any treasures it had already been plundered. Only a few weak beasts were left behind for the rookie warriors to train with. Knowing all this, Ahai goes to the checkpoint. He asked the lady there about his book ticket for the E-class secret realm. The lady didn't look away from whatever she was watching on her television and simply handed he a death waiver and his ticket. Without hesitation, he signs the waiver and heads for the secret realm's rift. As he got close, his excitement grew stronger and stronger. In his eyes, this was the beginning of his rise to become the king of beasts. He rushed forward with joy, leaps in the air, and plunged head first inside. In this dimension, he clearly saw that the dungeon had 3 distinct stars: the Konglin star, the Anwei star, and the Taiyin star. Even though Ahai had seen the appearance of a secret realm in textbooks, it's a whole different ballgame to witness it in person. Unexpectedly, as he was admiring the view, a mutant rabbit silently crept up behind him. It was a first-rank beast, the Bladefang rabbit. The moment it got close, it launched a fierce attack from behind. However, he had long noticed the sneaky bastard's presence and swiftly caught the poor guy in midair by the ears. He gave a creepy smile, amused that this unfortunate beast thought he couldn't sense him. He activated his life magnetic field ability and casually crushed the poor beast's head like it was nothing. So with that kill, Ahai ends up obtaining the core of a Bladefang rabbit. He realizes that its core was of average quality worth around a few thousand yen. Then he's pretty efficient. Life is truly boundless for the strong. You see, ordinary people would kill themselves to work all month just to earn 3 or 4 times that amount. Anyway, collecting too many first-rank beast cores is pointless. It would be better to find at least a second-rank beasts. But who would have guessed that just as he thought of this, a second-ranked beast, the demon corpse bug, would present itself just like that? Was this beast begging to be killed, or what? Nonetheless, he would grant this bug its wish. So, that's the end of this chapter. Comment below if you're excited for the next part. Once we reach 10 comments, the next recap drops in 24 hours. Make sure to hit like, share the video, and subscribe for more awesome manhwa recaps. Thanks for watching.